Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Skijaramaz here, otherwise known as Tone Shift, and I would like to take a few minutes to go over something with all of you that many of you may not have been aware of. Specifically, a story that I've been writing that you can be guaranteed will be receiving an audiobook adaptation. This is a subject I've been covering in my YouTube community tab, with routine posts updating people on my progress, but I know that not everyone looks at that, so it'll probably be a good idea to cover it here too. So to start us off then, how many of you remember the story I did called Tika the Enchantress? It was an original fantasy short story that I wrote a few months back, and I performed a reading of it here on my YouTube channel. It was a lot of fun to write, even more fun to record, and the people who listened to it seemed to really like it. It wasn't anything dramatic or epic either. It fell neatly into the genre of cozy fantasy. High fantasy settings, but with very slice-of-life scenarios and low stakes. If you've ever read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, I was kind of taking stylistic inspiration from that. It's kind of how I got the initial idea. It's high fantasy, but without any of the epic stakes. So if you haven't read or listened to Legends and Lattes, go do that. And if you haven't listened to or read Tika the Enchantress, please do that. I would appreciate the viewership. Now, as it is, when I was writing that story, I fell so in love with the character of Tika that I decided to go ahead and write a sequel story. It focuses on events that take place a few years after the events of the original story. I'm not going to go into any big details here since, I don't want to spoil anything, but you can think of it as being a largely feel-good, slice-of-life, first crush romance story, complete with all the saccharine sweetness you'd expect from me. And the intense heartbreaking drama, but we don't have to talk about that right now. Now, I shared the cover art for this story in my community tab a ways back, but for those of you who have yet to see it, here it is. Now, who is that woman holding hands with Tika, and why are they so damn cute together? Well, you'll just have to read or listen to the story for the answers to those questions. Now, as of the time that I am writing this little miniature script for this video, the rough draft of Tika the Enchanted, as the story is called, has been completed. Now, I plan on going back through it and doing some fixes before I post it anywhere. There are some things that need to be changed. There were things that changed while I was writing it that aren't reflected in previous chapters, so I need to go back through and make sure those are all consistent. There are a couple of plot holes I need to address. There are some scenes that are a little bloated with excessive fluff or unnecessary prose. There are some that are undercooked and don't let the themes or narrative elements they're trying to present properly simmer and be presented. There are some scenes that I just need to straight up cut because they are no longer relevant. And, just general revisions that I need to do. I expect all of that will take me a couple weeks, maybe a month to go through tops, depending on how often I can poke at it. Now, for those of you curious, I imagine I'll probably be done with my reading of The Sword Coast by the time all of my editing for this is said and done, so timing-wise, it's actually looking up like it's gonna be pretty perfect. I can start my reading of Tika just as soon as my reading of The Sword Coast is complete, assuming, of course, that everything goes as planned. Knowing my luck, it's not going to, but you just hold to the plan and hope. So, yeah, that's about everything I wanted to talk about here. Tika the Enchanted is coming along nicely. Again, rough draft is complete. I'll be revising the second draft, probably final draft, over the next coming weeks. Progress on The Sword Coast is moving along fine. I don't have any other MLP stories to pick up after The Sword Coast. Tika's next up on the chopping block in general. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any other MLP stories lined up. I'm kind of shifting away from that more and more as time goes on, but whatever the case, I hope you all enjoy Tika the Enchanted when that drops sometime in the next few months. But until then, I hope you all take care of yourselves out there. Be nice to each other, don't be a dick. And until we speak again, keep listening. Bye-bye.